Greetings, everyone. This is Avis, co-producer of The Rock Newman Show, here with DC's own Randall Lawrence. How you doing today, Mr. Lawrence?
Good afternoon, my brother. It's a pleasure being here.
So let's get started with the first question. Can you tell us what inspired you to start making movies?
Okay, I know this may sound crazy. I'm a Gemini. Geminis, we venture into different things. Now, I knew I always had the love for film. I just didn't know which direction where I was going. So when I had a retail clothing store called After Dark Sportswear. A friend of mine came to that shop one day and was like, listen, I'm getting ready to go do an audition for this TV show, The Wire. You should come with me. At that time, I was focused on my clothing store that I had, so I couldn't do both. But I knew I wanted to, try to at least dibble and dab into it. But when I finally got up the time and to figure out which one I wanted to do, I started doing a lot of work and background work in the TV show The Wire. And from my first day, I think they only paid us like $30 or $40. But from my first day that I actually went on location, I knew I wanted to have something to do with film for the rest of my life.
Cool. And growing up in DC, can you tell us what kind of films had an impact on you? What kind of movies had an impact on
I
you?
like old cinematic films. Like I like anything in the 60s, 50s, 40s.
Give us a couple of names.
Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier has a lot of effect on me right now. Sidney Poitier is, for me, is like, whenever I think of anything that he touches, when you look at Sidney Poitier, he inspires me to do just more than good and great. Because I know as an independent filmmaker, you have to be more than just good or great. You have to go into a different level. And that's what Sidney Poitier did. Sidney Poitier opened up a whole lot of doors for people like Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, Lawrence Fishburne. I'm just a true Sidney Poitier to the heart. Every time when I need motivation to do anything as far as film, I click him on.
Cool. So, R. Lawrence Film Productions, that's the former name of your company.
R. Lawrence Film. So we changed that because I didn't want people to think the independent filming industry or the company that we have was just all about me. We changed it for the love of Uptown Production. That has a personal piece too. I'm not gonna lie, that does have a personal venue piece to me, because I'm from Uptown, Washington D.C. But it bears out for a lot of people, in that area that can relate to what it is that I'm doing. I love what I do. I'm to a point right now. I've always been to this point. I don't just do films for me. I do films for everybody that's around me. With whatever project that I'm working on right now, you have to come with some kind of identity so we can do what's best for the film to move forward.
And being from Washington, D.C., which has a rich cultural heritage, does that impact or does that inspire any of the things that you do?
Washington, D.C. is hard, man. You can't just, again, like I said, coming from D.C., you can't just be good or great. You have to be on another level to get noticed. Right now, I think the independent film world is thriving in Washington, D.C. We got a lot of great theatrical people that's producing theater. We got a lot of independent filmmakers coming out of D.C. that's doing extremely good. We just got nominated to be in the Virginia Film Festival, but I think it was also 3 other independent filmmakers that actually was nominated too. So DC will be in Virginia Film Festival representing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Your films usually, matter of fact, your current movie, I'm Supposed to Walk This Way. I had the privilege of being on a shooting on set a couple of times with you. So, and they usually have a mellow soundtrack to them. What is it that you usually try to convey when you're making your movies? What's more your movie type?
We wanted to express that we wanted to talk more about generational wealth and we wanted to talk about mental health. We also wanted to talk about how you deal with mental health. So that's what that movie was based on. It was based on an individual from Washington, D.C., just wanting to do his own thing, but his father wanted him to take over the furniture business. He didn't want to do that. Yet at the same time, his mother was actually going through dementia. So as a whole, as a family, they had to understand how to deal with his mom going through dementia as a whole. So I wanted to try to touch on some things that we actually go through, that we're actually going through right now. So that's what that film was based on.
And you and I have known each other for some years from
Yes, sir.
some of your early works. Can you tell us, describe to us, when in your career did you realize this is what you wanted to do? What was the pivotal moment? Like you said, you were in clothing at one time. So what was the moment that you realized you wanted to dedicate yourself?
At that point in time, I think it had to be 2006 or 2007. We actually closed the doors to a clothing store, and one of the things that I know that I wanted to do was related to films. It just so happens, again, like I said earlier, I did wind up going to do background work for the TV show The Wire. That was just like me going to school. I learned so much behind the camera. Then I wind up getting picked up to do stand-in work with the House of Cards for 4 years. I learned so much behind the scenes. I would recommend anybody, if you are affiliated with any TV show and they hire you to do anything as far as like background work will allow you to see everything that goes on in production and making a film. Please take advantage of that. I had the privilege of being a stand-in for Reggie Cathy, and one of the other characters, Marshall, he plays the character Remy. I may have just butchered his name, but he plays the character Remy. I was a stand-in too, but I had so many other opportunities on that show to take advantage of, as far as like how to direct, how to do cinematography, how to act while you're around certain people, certain status. I actually had the privilege of working with Kevin Spacey. I was one of his Secret Service agents, and I worked on a tactical force. So for 4 years straight, I was right there beside him too. Regardless of what he's going through right now in his personal life, that he's a phenomenal actor. And rest in peace to Reggie Cathy. Again, like I said, I had the pleasure of working with him too as well.
You know what we do, we come from pretty much the school of hard knocks for filmmaking. You have to learn everything because you're literally doing everything by yourself. And so when it comes to like it's color palettes, what is your process in the coloring, and when you talk about doing things, setting up cameras and things in post, what is it that you're looking for?
So I'm gonna jump back to what you said earlier. You said when you first starting off and you don't have that financial support or that physical support, as far as like having the people to create your team, man, it's hard. You're gonna have to sacrifice something. I'm sorry, whether it be a loved one, whether it be your time, whether it be your family, your children, you're gonna have to sacrifice something. Financially wise, you have to be able to invest in yourself, especially if you are trying to get somebody to invest in you. The first thing they're going to say is, how much have you invested in yourself, and where are you at right now with the level of experience that you have. For me, and I know I say this almost every day, you have to open your mind up to do what's best for the film, regardless where the information is coming from. You can't always take your personal views and think they're the right personal views because you want it to be right. You have to have an understanding. You got to do what's best for the film. If you just so happen to find that perfect team, allow yourself to be open-minded and hear what it is that they have to say. And if it's, again, like I said, and if it's best for the movie, always go with what's best for the movie. And it's all, again, like I said, it's always good to have a supportive team, because the one thing I learned, you truly cannot do everything by yourself.
Well, as a black filmmaker, have you found yourself having to or wanting to address cultural issues and things that are pretty much, that's happening within the community today? Or
Okay, right now we starting production of. We're in the process of starting the movie. My part 2 of the first movie I did. The first movie was Second Chance. You actually had the pleasure of helping me walk through that movie, and I thank you for that. We're actually doing part 2 to that, Second Chance Redemption, and it's all about politics. It's all about political views that actually went on in Washington, D.C., that's happening right now, as far as like gentrification and how we need to address it, and how we wasn't educated enough to take advantage of certain things that we have going on like right now. Back in the days, you could buy a piece of property on Florida Avenue for like $10,000 or $9,000. That same property on Florida Avenue now is worth $1 million. I seriously think that we just wasn't educated enough to know what was, to know what was happening, to know what was going on. Gentrification is real.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been on the set of a few of your movies, and you always find these great actors.
Thank you.
Tell us about the process of casting.
I'm one of those people, you can give me your resume in front of me and I will pay no attention to it. I can see accolades, I can understand where you're coming from, but I have to, like sometimes when I'm on location, if I shut my eyes, it's not because I'm sleeping, it's because I'm trying to visualize you. You have to sincerely convince me that you can become that character. I've had the pleasure of working with some amazing people.
Could you name a few that you cast in your movies? Give us a couple of names of those that you had.
So
cast.
in this movie, I'm supposed to walk this way. I don't want to butcher the name, so I'm gonna actually look at it. So we had Brad, we had Olivia, we had Dirk Lamar, we had Cheryl, we had Price James, we had Keita Host. I actually had assistance from this young girl. She's an up-and-coming filmmaker too. Her name is Danielle. I actually had support from Miss Angela Cousins. I actually had support from Oscar as far as doing the production in the background. They helped a lot. This movie, I'm so proud of this movie. Again, like I said, it just got nominated in the Virginia Hampton Film Festival through June 10th that weekend. So it's going to be huge. Again, like I said, we had a couple of more other filmmakers from DC that's actually going to be in that film festival too. So it's going to be huge. But to answer your question, I have been lucky with.
And a lot of them are veteran actors. People may not know, because several of them been in movies before.
Yeah, several of them have been in a lot of independent films locally. Yeah, and also, you're right. They have been on some productive, predominant film sets too. Yeah.
Okay. So, what would you describe your editing process? Once the cameras are off and now you sitting in there in the dark room by yourself. What is that like?
I tell anybody, if you had to edit your material, either edit as you go, meaning when you get home, make sure you dump, but make sure you dump in 3 locations so you won't lose any of the material. Because if you dump it in 1 location and something happens to that specific material, you done for, brother. I always recommend to dump in 3 different places. Dump your files in 3 different places so you can have access to them. So again, like I said, for me, the editing aspect is a learning situation for me. I use DaVinci. Even with Man, everything for me is a learning experience. I've been in this field for almost 13, 14 years. I've been behind the camera for almost 5 or 6, and it's still a learning aspect to me. I don't care what kind of camera you got, what kind of lenses you have. If you don't know the basic skills about what it is you're doing, you're going to be short. So you have to learn every concept about not to allow yourself to depend on the camera being on automatic. You have to put it on manual, so just in case something happens, you know how to fix it. You have to be aware of your audio because your audio is one of the most important essentials that you need to have for a movie. You can have on a scale of 1 to 10, you can have a movie that's a 15, but if your audio is some crap, it ain't gonna matter.
What a lot of people may not know, and you probably don't give yourself enough credit about your ability to galvanize people together. And I remember we met on the film set. I think it was where is that, in DC? Somewhere in DC. And you just you had all these people together. I mean, everybody believed in the project.
Yeah, man.
But it was one of those things. You had very modest equipment at that time. And still. It was so much belief in knowing that you can do it, and you completed the project.
Yes.
So so for someone that's just starting, what are your key pieces would you suggest that they need to really that it may be something they can find on TikTok Shop, or it can be something at the porn shop. What are the key pieces you think people should consider acquiring if they want to become filmmakers?
Okay. Being upfront with yourself for what you can provide for that person who you want to help you. Whether it be, man, look, listen, I have a project, I don't have funding for it right now, but if you want to be a part of it, just being upfront first so you can gain the respect that you need. Because when you do get the money for that project, and they have that trust in you, that's the first thing you need. But for the certain things for me, again, like I said, it's not about the camera. It's good if you can afford a camera, but the 4 basic things to me is making sure you have a good audio piece.
Like what? Let's talk.
So I started off with the Zoom H4, I think, and I still didn't understand it quite well. How important it was to have central audio, because there's a such thing as regular audio that you can hear, but there's another kind of audio that you can hear clearly and understand and with a frame of mind where you can actually feel it too. You know what I mean? You can have regular audio, but when you have audio with the equalizer, you can feel it. You know what I mean? You can feel it. So
let's talk cameras. What should the stats for cameras? Like, what you think? 1080, 60. They should go no lower than 4K.
I don't know if you like
lenses.
And I could be wrong. For me, having a basic essential lens is like a 35, a 50 maybe, and a
Nifty
60.
50. Everybody said
Nifty 50.
The Nifty 50.
And maybe a 10 or 16 for your wide. You got to have wide, medium, and close-ups. For that blurred look, it's all about the aperture, because I know you mentioned that at first. For me, I have to have a wide, I have to have a medium, and I have to have a close-up. Like I think I got 10 and I got 16 for my wide, and then I got a 35, 24 for my mediums, and then I got an 85 to 50 for my close-ups. But I use all Zine cinema lenses. That's what I use now.
So sound equipment, software. Let's talk software. So you use?
I use DaVinci.
DaVinci. So What do you think? Adobe. I'm Sony Vegas.
I started off with Sony Vegas. I like Sony Vegas. I started off with it, but if you want to get into more depth of field as far as like color correction, right now I use DaVinci.
A lot of people use DaVinci.
DaVinci is like a whole new school.
And it's free.
Yeah, the studio is free. Yeah, you gotta, you sincerely have to be willing to go on YouTube to look up certain things or how you do certain things in DaVinci.
Cool.
Yeah, but that's what I use.
Now, as someone who you do it all. You know,
I'm learning to do it all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're doing the casting, you're doing the filming, you're doing the editing, you're doing the lighting. You know, so how do you keep up with the pace of wearing all these different hats? How do you?
No, that's the worst thing that you can do when you try to do everything by yourself. That's the worst thing you can do. I have again, like I said, I have a good team right now. I have Danielle, I have Oscar, I have a couple of new people that's actually coming on board. I got about 5 different members that's on board now with the team that help me out, because you can't do everything by yourself. You can't. Because something else is gonna look. And then again, like, people fail to realize my first love is acting. Like, I love to be in front of that camera too. I really do. Yep.
Okay.
But now with the team that I have now, hopefully within this next project that we're about to do, I can get back in front of the camera.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about the part most people don't talk about. You done did everything, the acting's done, the film is done, you got film in your hand, now what?
Now it's about the distribution part. You have to find out how you can get the distribution. Some people use Film Hub. Well, let's just even go back further from in the beginning. Some people in the beginning, I didn't use a financial budget. I just asked people would they like to be a part of what it is that I'm doing. And then through the grace of God, that worked out for me. But when you get further in life, you're gonna have to get a budget and somehow financially, support your actors, because you want to get the best out of your actors. And you don't want that movie to be at a standstill, just sitting on the shelf. So now you gotta towards the end, you gotta find distribution. You gotta find out, whose platform you're gonna place it on, and to let the film do what it's supposed to do.
What is that process like? Like, say if I wanted to get something on Hulu, or is Hulu the only option?
It's the distribution piece. Whoever is doing your distribution, they shop it around to Hulu and Prime and all those other pieces. And hopefully you get the best, percentage that you can from those other pieces. Yeah.
The last question, Mr. Lawrence. Tell us about the love of Uptown Productions.
For the love of Uptown.
For the love of Uptown
I mentioned
Productions.
it earlier. Like I said, All Ours Films was actually something.
Tell us the name.
I'm gonna just tell you. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you.
What's the love of Uptown?
I'm a straight DC dude, and I'm from Uptown. I just put those two together, and it just felt right. I just love Uptown. I just love Uptown so much. But then when you think about it, in all boroughs and all cities, you got an Uptown somewhere. So with that, people can relate to where it is, whether it be.
What's special about Uptown?
DC?
What's special
Man,
about it?
I'm from DC, Washington, D.C. That's enough said right there. We got go-go, we got talented people that come out of Washington, D.C. That's enough said. That's enough said right there.
So there's definitely a different culture of Southeast and Northwest. Northwest has Northwest. What is that? What is that Northwest culture?
It's Uptown. We just Southeast. Don't get me wrong. I love Southeast. I just love how they just get down. Southeast. Let me just say it. Let me just give you a typical breakdown. Southeast is what it is. That's Southeast. Southwest is becoming more gentrified. Southeast is too. Northeast is you got your versatility. You can have a versatile to different people in Northeast. But Northwest is just something about that swag. That's what it is. It's just something about that swag in Northwest. When you mention Northwest, it's just swag. That's it. You got to put 2 and 2 together. That's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Lawrence, thank you so much for this interview. We're definitely looking forward to where can we catch I'm Supposed to Walk This Way?
Well, actually, right now, that's actually being shot right now for distribution.
Absolutely. And your next projects are?
Second Chance Redemption. We started auditions already, but we'll probably start filming early June. And
for all those that's interested in For the Love of Uptown Productions, want to get down with with the Northwest
You can
production.
catch me on Facebook, on no, Instagram, All Lawrence Films, Facebook, Randall Lawrence. Just type Randall Lawrence and it'll pop up. LinkedIn, Randall Lawrence, it'll pop up. All your social media aspects, you can get in contact with me.
Sending what headshots, clips.
Yeah, you can send it. Yep, you can message me with the headshots if you want, and I'll forward them to, our casting team, and we can take it from there.
Sounds great. So thank you again, and we're looking forward to what you produce from For the Love of Uptown Productions.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that, man. It was an honor being here, man. It was also good seeing you too.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Let me give a special shout out to my production team, Danielle, India, and Chuck. Man, I appreciate you guys so much. People don't realize how much it goes on behind the scene. I can safely say I have a phenomenal production team. And with that being said, I see you at work.